Hello, and welcome to Horror Rewind. This is Kelly Florence, and this week we are celebrating our 1-year anniversary. So I asked Meg and Lisa some questions, and here are their answers. What was your favorite new movie that you discovered through Horror Rewind this year? An old movie that you hadn't seen before.
Woohoo! 1 year, yay! Okay, so my new favorite movie. Recently we watched Demons, and that was my first time seeing it. It was my first time seeing a Dario Argento movie. And although I had a few complaints about it, overall, I actually really loved it. And I get really, really giddy when I think about the gore in it. I just love the gore so much in it. So that was probably the one that comes to mind first of a new movie that I discovered through this process that I really love.
My favorite new movie that I discovered through Horror Rewind this year had to have been Death Becomes Her, because it's delightful. As we've learned, I'm not really excited about getting scared, and so I enjoyed the horror element of the gore and the comedy and the brilliance of those women doing what they do. That was probably my favorite new movie, definitely.
My new favorite movie that I discovered through Horror Rewind this year was called Blood Rage. I know it's random. It was on our Thanksgiving episode because I was looking for horror movies that had a Thanksgiving theme or took place on Thanksgiving. And Blood Rage takes place on Thanksgiving. And it's not the best movie in the world, but I loved it. So, sometimes that's okay. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It was on Shudder when I watched it, but you can probably find it other places as well. It's a slasher movie. It's got the past and the present and evil twin plot and a really great mother character. You should watch it. What was your least favorite movie that you rewatched or watched for the first time for the podcast?
Least favorite. So I feel bad, but because I know that it has like special meaning to you, Kelly, but I just didn't like Night of the Scarecrow. It was boring, and I think the worst thing was it didn't meet my expectation of I wanted like a creepy scarecrow, sort of killing people in certain way that I envisioned when I saw the front of the sort of the poster of what it was going to be. So I think it didn't really meet my expectations, and that's why it was kind of a bummer for me. And then the other one that I think that was one I didn't like would be Slumber Party Massacre, because I think both of us kind of went into it thinking it was going to be better than it was, because it was sort of touted as feminist, which that still confounds me, but those two stick out.
My least favorite movie would have to have been Pet Sematary. It is also the one that scared me the most, because I remember growing up and hearing about it from my mom. She hated it, and I couldn't handle that little boy, the voice. I couldn't handle the sister. There's just a lot of imagery that was too much. It was just too much, and the audio of that little boy's voice and the laughter. No, thank you. No, thank you.
My least favorite movie from this year, absolutely hands down, was Slumber Party Massacre. I think I gave it a 0 or a 1, like the lowest ranking I could possibly give it, because it was supposed to be a satire and feminist, and it was the opposite of that. It just didn't work. I'm sorry, Slumber Party Massacre fans, but it did not work for me at all. What movie did not live up to your memory of it, and you were disappointed?
Movie did not live up to my memory of it, and that's really tough. Like, I'm really struggling with this one, because I think even though, movies are kind of bad, but from our past, we still love them because they were that special thing in our lives. So what really comes to my mind, and I feel bad saying this because I gave it a good score and I love it, but actually Ghostbusters comes to mind, which I know is sacrilege, but I think it was because it was just, as a woman, it's a little it just doesn't feel like women are involved in it. And I think that's what they were trying to fix with the new Ghostbusters, that, maybe wasn't embraced fully. But I feel like maybe overall, the sort of character that Bill Murray was and just sort of the boys club feeling kind of made me, I still love Ghostbusters. I mean, but I think it sort of didn't live up to the hype because, it's a little of its time.
The movie that did not live up to my memory of it, because I had only seen it once and it was on a pedestal in my mind, was Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. And having seen it at this resort as a kid in the dark, and it was on one time, and it stuck with me when I discovered that we could watch it again for this podcast. I was so excited, and yeah, it didn't live up to it. I did appreciate some things about it still, but it just wasn't the movie I remembered from when I was a kid. What movie surprised you the most and you realize you really like it?
I think the movie that surprised me the most is Friday the 13th, which I wouldn't be surprised if you say the same thing, because I knew it was good. I knew I liked it, but actually I watched it and I was just so my pug is sneezing below me. I was just so blown away with how good it was. For I know it's sort of a typical slasher and all that, but I really loved it. I thought it was good. I thought it had good music, good suspense, and I think it's really, if I was going to show somebody okay, here's a slasher movie, that would be it. Oh, and something just came to my mind about a movie that did not live up to my memory of it. I think it's Jaws as well. I think that's a good movie, but there were a lot of boring scenes in that movie and a lot of slow parts where I felt myself nodding off. So I'm just piggybacking back to the third question, but yeah.
I think what surprised me the most had to have been Evil Dead 2. This is a sad confession because I had a memory of watching a horror film somewhere circa 6th grade, and I thought it was Evil Dead 1, and it was pretty scarring. So to then go in for Evil Dead 2 and then realize what I had seen as a 12-year-old was something different, and then get to watch Ash and all of that, and the comedy and the cinematography of it was all just really fun and exciting and a little scary. So I could definitely handle it.
What TV show would you recommend that you discovered this year?
TV show. Oh wow. Okay. Something, I feel like I don't get to watch TV anymore, which isn't true. I'm being dramatic, but that's how I feel lately. Handmaid's Tale is really good. I've just watched the first and second episode of that. And Black Mirror, I discovered, I think, in the last year. And if you guys aren't watching that, you have to. And I didn't discover it in the last year, but you have to watch Ash vs. Evil Dead. It's on Netflix now, so no excuses.
The TV show that I would recommend from this year that I discovered was The Exorcist. I went back and watched season 1 on Hulu and then was able to watch season 2 as it aired, and it was great. I wouldn't say that's a movie we haven't talked about yet, is The Exorcist, and I wouldn't say that I'm a huge Exorcist fan. I guess we will go back and watch it, the movie, but this TV show is so well done. It's good quality, great acting, nice plot, and it surprised me more than once. So I would recommend The Exorcist if you haven't watched it yet. I think it got canceled, which is really sad because we need more good horror in our lives on TV. And the other thing that got canceled or ended was Ash vs. Evil Dead. And, Bruce Campbell has been tweeting that he's fine about it. So I'm going to be fine about it too. But we need more horror on TV. What new movie that came out within this past year would you recommend?
I feel like it's really boring to say A Quiet Place, but I would definitely recommend A Quiet Place. It was excellent. And oh my gosh, I'm trying to think movies in the last year that I'd recommend. I mean, that came to mind right away, so I would definitely say that.
The new movie that came out this past year that I would recommend, because I want to have a different answer than Meg, I'm going to say It. If you didn't get to see it, which who didn't see it, because apparently everybody saw it, but I would absolutely recommend it. I think it's a nice gateway for friends who maybe don't normally go see horror movies. It seemed like everybody went to go see it. And I was reading about the second movie that's going to be coming out, them as adults, and the director or the writer saying it's going to be scarier. And I'm so excited because we're going to get all these people in the theater again for a horror movie. And, like Shape of Water and Get Out from this past year got Oscar nominations and won Best Picture. And it's our time, horror fans. It's a great time to be alive. What book that you read in this past year would you recommend?
So I talked about it previously, I'll Be Gone in the Dark. I think I called it I'll Be Gone in the Night, which has been bothering me ever since I did that. It's I'll Be Gone in the Dark. I talked about sort of the story behind it and how the Michelle McNamara passed away while she was writing it. And then literally as I was finishing reading it, they actually caught the Golden State Killer. So it was just a big roller coaster of emotion. So I definitely recommend that if you like true crime. I'm also reading a book right now. I'm trying to sort of expand my contemporary female horror author list, and I'm reading a great book. I'm not very far into it, but I just love the way she writes. Her name is Sarah Langan, and the book is called The Keeper. Like I said, I'm only like 70 pages in, so I can't even tell you much about it, but check her out. She's amazing.
The new book that I read this past year that I would recommend, dun dun dun, what do you think I'm going to say? Her Dark Inheritance. You absolutely need to check it out. If Meg didn't write it, I would still recommend it because it builds this world and this town that is so fascinating and filled with mystery and suspense, and I just want to know more about it. And the cool thing is, if you really like the book, which you will, then you get to go back and read Twisted Reveries 2, which is a collection of short stories that all take place in the town of Willoughby. Or if you read that one first, then you get to recognize all of these characters or some of these characters from the novel. So it's a really nice tie-in, and it's like when you discover that there's more material for fans out there, it's like it's better than fanfic because it's real. It's actually from the source. So definitely check out Meg's book, Her Dark Inheritance. What have you learned about yourself or about horror through this process?
As I'm answering these questions, you would not believe how loud all my dogs are being. I have a Jack Russell on my knee, and he's making sounds, and then my pug is right beneath me. And if anybody's had a pug, they know. I wish I could give you a visual. She's licking her pug nose constantly, and it's so loud, and I feel like you all can hear it, so I apologize. Okay, what have I learned about myself or about horror through this process? Oh my gosh, that's a deep question, Kelly. This has been a fun experiment, and I think it's sort of brought me back to childhood a bit and why I was drawn to certain things, and why I wanted to emulate Lydia and from Beetlejuice, and just sort of all these things have kind of come washing over me from childhood of what it was like to sort of be a girl who liked those things, and feeling a little sort of out of place. And I think it's actually sort of transitioned into being in my work. And when I think about a piece I just wrote about a woman who's sort of uncomfortable, liking dark things, and does it mean if you like dark things that you're a bad person? And I like to explore all those themes. So I think I'm learning that it's okay to be comfortable with sort of that aspect of my life, and that I can be gothic and I can like those things. I mean, it's what I do for a career, but I can also be, you know, a good person, and that those two things aren't mutually exclusive. And I think I knew that, but sometimes those things under the surface are not so clear.
I think I've learned a few things actually through this horror process. It's funny, as an actor, I have been in horror films and have had no problem with them. As we track, I don't enjoy watching them. I also learned that I enjoy it if it's campy, so I can't say I don't like all scary movies. I enjoy something campy, something funny, like big bad gore, I'm all about. So yeah, I feel like I learned a lot.
What I've learned about myself through this podcast, or about horror, is that some of these movies that I watched when I was a kid really did shape who I am, or they just spoke to who I already was, and it gave me confidence to be like, oh, other people like these things too, or other people feel this way. For example, when we rewatched Silence of the Lambs, it just felt like such a big part of what I liked, seeing Clarice Starling and that strong female character, and then going into my love of the X-Files and knowing that Scully was based partly on that character, and it just all made sense. And then, of course, going back and watching Beetlejuice, and an episode coming up, we've rewatched The Addams Family, and just seeing that family that they all love dark things and they have this dark sense of humor, but they love each other, and at the end of the day, they're a really functional family and a really good marriage. And so I've learned a part about who I am through this process, and it's been so much fun. I mean, having to watch a horror movie once a week, that's the best thing ever. F, Marry, Kill as their character: Vincent Price from House on Haunted Hill, Bill Murray from Ghostbusters, and Cole Sprouse from Riverdale.
Okay. Fuck, marry, or kill. Or should I say F, marry, or kill? I'll say fuck. I can. It's my podcast, right, Kelly? We can do what we want. So, Vincent Price. Okay, this is tough because my new boyfriend is Jughead from Riverdale. But here's the problem. If we're doing characters, he's not old enough. I have to keep that in mind. So, well, obviously I will kill Bill Murray from Ghostbusters because I just went on a rant tangent about him. And then I will marry Vincent Price from House on Haunted Hill because he's so classy and rich. Oh no, oh good. Now my dogs are barking. And then I will, once he's of age, once his character is of age, the actor is, but once his character is of age, I will, I will fuck Jughead, obviously. Okay, I have some F, Marry, Kills from Meg. Ash Williams from Evil Dead 2, Deputy Dewey from Scream, and Norman Bates from Bates Motel. Ooh, these are good. Okay, this is really hard. I'm obviously going to marry Ash Williams, but you know what? He'd probably be a terrible husband. Okay, no, I take it back. I think I'm going to marry... No. Jeez Louise, what am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to marry... No, I'm marrying Ash. I don't care. Yes, he doesn't end up having the best track record, but you know what? I get to be with Bruce Campbell. So, marry Ash, sleep with Deputy Dewey. I have to kill Norman Bates because if I don't kill him, he's definitely going to kill me because he's got mommy issues and he is his mommy. And so even if I tried to sleep with him, it wouldn't work out. So I have to kill him. I'm sorry, Norman. F, Marry, Kill as their character: Kevin Bacon from Tremors, John Cho from The Exorcist, Ken Foray from Dawn of the Dead. Oh, this is tough. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to kill Ken Foray from Dawn of the Dead. I mean, he's a great character, but I mean, if we're just getting down to cuteness factor, he's got to go. And then I would fuck Kevin Bacon from Tremors. That blonde hair, the cowboy look. And then I would marry John Cho's character from The Exorcist. He does get inhabited by a demon, but he's super sweet and handsome, and he's a foster father. So, I mean, once we get that demon out of him, I think he'd make a very nice husband. Okay.
My next F. Mary Kill is Lewis Creed from Pet Sematary, Lee Abbott from A Quiet Place, and Chris Washington from Get Out. Oh, these are good. Okay, I'm definitely killing Lewis Creed from Pet Sematary because I think he's worthless. I'm sleeping with Lee Abbott from A Quiet Place because I think that John Krasinski's hot. And I'm marrying Chris Washington from Get Out because I'd like waking up next to him every morning. Last one, F. Marry, Kill as their character. Sissy Spacek from Carrie, Sigourney Weaver from Alien, Jamie Lee Curtis from Halloween.
Here's the thing. I would kill Carrie in Carrie because let's be honest, that she's great. We love the movie, but she's kind of annoying. And I think I would fuck Sigourney Weaver from Alien because she's hot. And then I feel like Laurie Strode in Halloween. I feel like I'd get along with her. She's very bookish, and she doesn't really like to party, which is like me. So I think we would make good spouses. So I'll say I'll marry her.
F. Marry, Kill. Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, Michael Myers from Halloween, Jack Torrance from The Shining.
This is really hard because I would, if really just given the choice, I'd probably kill all of them because I'm scared of them. But I've given this a lot of thought, and I think I would have to marry Jason, given the hockey mask. I grew up in a town called Eveleth. That's the home of the Hockey Hall of Fame. And so I guess that would be the devil I know. And the fact that he carries around like a big knife would be good for yard work and chores. So I guess we'll go ahead and marry him. I would go ahead and F Jack. Really mostly because I would hope that he would say, "Here's Jackie," when he climaxed. Like that would be why I'd want to F him. And I'd probably kill Michael Myers. In honesty, I haven't seen that movie. Still too scared. We'll get on it. But in my research, it talked about him getting turned on by sister-like figures, girls that he, saw in his sister. Maybe that was just a theory. But I'm an only child, so I guess it wouldn't really work out. So I'd kill him.
My last F. Marry, Kill from Meg. Alice Hardy from Friday the 13th, Nancy Thomas from A Nightmare on Elm Street, and Princess Asa from Black Sunday. Okay. I'm going to sleep with Princess Asa because she's probably got some tricks up her sleeve. I'm going to kill Alice Hardy. No, I think I'm going to kill Nancy Thompson. Sorry, Nancy, from Nightmare on Elm Street. And I'm going to marry Alice Hardy because, hey, she survived that first movie. If you could go back and tell your 12-year-old self a piece of advice regarding this love of the horror genre, what would it be?
Kind of like what I was saying before, is just be comfortable in my gothic skin. That horror is going to end up being my career, I would tell my 12-year-old self. So don't ever feel like you have to sort of hide that aspect of your character, and that, if somebody's judging you because you like horror movies, that, that's not somebody you want to be around.
If I could go back and tell my 12-year-old self a piece of advice about loving horror, I would say go for it and don't be afraid to let your freak flag fly. That's a tongue twister. Try to say that 10 times fast. It's something that I feel like maybe now it's more acceptable because you can go into Hot Topic and find scary t-shirts and things, or you can watch whatever you want on Netflix, or not necessarily even have to go out into the world. You can find these things, but I would tell my 12-year-old self, be you, be confident. It doesn't matter what other people think. Live your life. What's your biggest personal or professional accomplishment from this past year that you would like to share? And is there anything for the next year that you want to accomplish or that you're looking forward to?
Oh, well, obviously I've bugged everyone about my novel. I'm really excited about that. This is the year that it came out, and not to mention just doing Horror Rewind has been such a treat and a big personal and professional achievement as well. And I have an episode of a great audio drama called The Lift that I've mentioned before that it comes out this month as well. And so there's just a lot of things I'm really excited about. And I love that I get to sort of contribute to the horror world in my small little way. So here's to many more years discussing horror films. We certainly haven't run out of them. So thanks to everyone who listens. We have such great fans. And Kelly and I love hearing from you guys. So thank you guys for listening.
Ooh, professional accomplishment. Surviving New York for an entire year, I think, has been a pretty big accomplishment. Starting to understand how this city works as an actor is pretty exciting. Taking it one day at a time. Something I'm really excited about is it looks like I'm going to start hopefully working on a web series that I'm collaborating on with a good playwright friend, Tyler Whidden, and Means of Production, a company that's formed out of alumni from my apprenticeship that I attended, and Actors Theater of Louisville. So I'm very much looking forward to that and whatever other adventures are around the way.
My biggest personal or professional accomplishment from this past year, since the podcast started, I got my full-time appointment at my job. So I am there to stay at my college. And that's a good professional accomplishment for me. I love teaching and I love touching people's lives, hopefully in a positive way. And that's been really great. Some things I'm looking forward to for the next year, not necessarily personal things, but I mean, they are. I'm looking forward to this Ted Bundy movie starring Zac Efron. I'm looking forward to the next great scary movie that's going to come out. I don't know what it is, but you know, every time we lose a show or a movie has ended and it feels like part of you is gone, there's always going to be, we're going to have a new favorite TV show, or we're going to have a new favorite movie that comes out. And that's what's so exciting, is that it's never ending. It doesn't just end when your favorite TV show ends, or when after you've seen a movie in the theater. It can live on. Oh, speaking of that, Halloween. I'm excited for Halloween coming out, the new Halloween movie coming out in the fall. So there are so many things to look forward to. Lisa, what was your personal favorite drink that you created for the podcast this year?
My favorite drink I created for the podcast, that's really tough. They're like my drunk little babies. No, they are all my little treats. But I guess if I was to just really just want to crave an easy cocktail that I liked a lot, it would have to be the Night Harvest from Dark Knight of the Scarecrow, because it tastes just like fall, and I love that sensorial experience, I guess, if you will, because fall means holidays are on their way and happiness and family for me. So I think Night Harvest would be my favorite to drink. I think Good Luck Kid from Sleepaway Camp was a favorite to make, just getting to play with the activated charcoal, and anything that has marshmallow fluff, if we're being honest, I'm gonna like it.
Thank you so much, Horror Rewind listeners, for tuning in and being a part of this podcast this past year. We look forward to sharing many more episodes with you in the future. Right now, we have a contest going on. You can find this through our social media pages. If you comment and tell us a movie that you recommend that we cover on Horror Rewind, you'll be automatically entered for a prize pack. Now, this prize pack will include some Horror Rewind merchandise, some items from Gothic Gifts, and also a copy of Meg's novel, Her Dark Inheritance. So comment on either Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, and let us know what movies you recommend that we cover on Horror Rewind. A winner will be drawn randomly on June 1st, and we'll notify you via that social media platform, and we'll get your address to mail that out to you. And also, we'll be taking all of your recommendations and hopefully covering a lot of them over this next year. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll see you in the horror section.